Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel again. So right now I'm very in a very productive mood at the moment. So let's publish another stream then. I have a video about the Icelandic language right now. It is uh, it is the current video that I'm doing, and I hope to please you guys while doing this. This is one of my favorite topics. I love the Icelandic language. I love the Icelandic people and I consider Iceland one of the greatest countries in the world. So I'm not so I'm going to talk about it for a while. Let's go. Icelandic is one of the most conservative languages in Europe. It's not the most conservative, but one of the most. And that honor goes to Lithuanian and perhaps Latvian. So let's talk a bit about Icelandic then. Icelandic is North Germanic language of the it is one of the it is an Indo-European language of the North Germanic branch, and it is a cousin language of German, Dutch, and English, of course, English. And because it is so, there's some words that are relatively similar, even without English origin. Now, there's some modern Icelandic words that are used almost and slightly changed from English. These words are, for example, nape, which which is literally nope, but there's also the normal Icelandic way, which is nay. That's literally no. But this one, I'm sure it's not from English. It's just very similar because it has a common root, but it's not an English word that's used in Icelandic. Um, One of my dreams is to be able to work in Iceland, and I really want to help um, build to be something to do something productive. And overall, I want to contribute to the Icelandic people because I think they are one of the best people in the world, and they're basically my favorite nation. Other than Portugal, of course, I really love Iceland. But then again, I'm not going to be too repetitive. Let's talk about other things related to the Icelandic language. The Icelandic language is the closest living language to Old Norse. There's also a few other Nordic languages which are very close, which have some quite many similarities, including Elfdalian, which is not a dialect of Swedish, by the way. It is a Norse language, a North Germanic language, but a very conservative one at that. A few centuries ago, it used runes quite late into our time. It was, I think, until the 20th century, the beginning or something, or to the 19th century. And so it is a very conservative language. But Icelandic is definitely my favorite Nordic language. The other one is Danish. Because I love their pronunciation. And no, I'm not joking. It is unique. It is very guttural and it's beautiful. Also, Danish ladies are amazing. Icelandic ladies are amazing. The Icelandic and Danish bros are uh, terrifically amazing in a good sense. They're uber nice, uber cool. They're very interesting and overall fine people. Of course, this doesn't mean that all other peoples are bad. No, no, it's nothing like that. What I mean is that they're my favorites. I really love them. I really like to talk about them. It's one of my main topics of focus. Iceland. I listen to a lot of Icelandic music, by the way. So I recently listened to Icelandic Disney songs, and I also really like the singer Johanna Gudrun or Gudrun. I'm probably not pronouncing completely well, but it's Johanna Gudrun. Sometimes the F sound, which is a D like this and with a cut here, but it isn't a D. It isn't the letter D. It's pronounced F. It's like it's kind of like the sounds in Old English and even modern English, the th, but with e before, so F. And it's a very cool language. It's a very cool letter, and it also sometimes, many times, sounds like D, but it's not a D. So it's close. It has similarities, but it's not a D. They also have the normal D letter, which has its many rules of pronunciation. Of course, when speaking about Iceland, you can't talk about and the Icelandic language. You have to mention the Vikings, or at least the northern Germanic peoples, the Nordics. And what they do is, because Viking comes from an older word, Viking, that literally means the one who goes on raids. Of course, I see nothing wrong with calling Nordic peoples Vikings. They're the direct descendants of those peoples, and it's as logic as calling Lusitanian to a Portuguese person, or Lusitan or Galici to a Northern Portuguese and Galician person. So I completely agree with that. You can call yourself Viking, especially if you're from Sweden, Iceland, Denmark, I've and Norway, and if you're a direct descendant of them, even if you're from another country. Now, Finnish people are not really Vikings, but they're Nordics, and because they have some Swedish ancestry, although they're unique people themselves, I think that because there's at least some Finnish people that would make sense calling themselves Viking. But I'm not a judge on that, so I don't know. But I still don't see anything wrong in a Finnish person liking Viking history, and you can even call yourself Viking. You're a Nordic person as well, just slightly different because of the Finnish language. That's quite different from the Nordic languages, and the fact that you might have around at most 5% Samoyedic genetics. But other than that, Finnish are some of the most European people you'll ever find. Finnish people are amazing. They have an amazing education system. And when I talk about genetics, I'm just stating facts or things that I think are correct. I'm not trying to insult anyone or just berate someone for being this percentage, that percentage, or whatever. So don't poke holes into my channel thinking, oh, this guy's a racist. This guy's no, it isn't relevant at all. What I want to say is that I really like Iceland, but it's just a like of mine. I am not. I don't want to people to look down on me because I like Iceland. It doesn't make sense. It's like a lot of people like their own country. Well, I love my country. Like I love Portugal, but I also love Iceland because I think it is a country with a nation with great potential. And so, yeah, let's talk a bit about Iceland itself and its history. So it was mostly populated with Western Norwegians and with Irish ladies, not always taken willingly to there. So yeah, there's that part of their history. But basically, most Icelanders are the indigenous Icelanders are more or less 60% Nordic on the male side and 40% or 60% Irish on the female side. At least the first Icelanders were. The modern Icelanders are not that different from the old Icelanders. but maybe it's not, they're not literally 60, they could be 70 or 80 at this point, but they're not, I mean, they're not literally the same population, but they're so conservative that they're almost so. For They changed quite less than most European peoples because of their isolation. Still, there might be a few differences, like the way they pronounce Icelandic is different, slightly different, but still incredibly conservative. And the Icelandic people, although they might have suffered some slight changes um, because of volcanic eruptions that might have led to some damage to their biology. Overall, Icelanders are an extremely healthy people nonetheless. So no, there's no significant amount of inbreeding. At least they're probably healthier than most other populations in many regards. So yeah, they're despite the fact that they have only for 340,000 people, at most 370,000, they're not inbred. They're healthy. They are good people, and they're an example to the world. Of course. Now let's talk about the Icelandic language again. I don't think it is dying because although it is under threat because of English, it is still the national language of Iceland. English is not the national language of Iceland, even though it's spoken there. And there's a lot of effort to try to preserve the language as much as possible. And although I am a foreigner, I would glad I really want to learn Icelandic one day, and to be able to sing those amazing songs, to be able to write, to read the sagas and the amazing published books by modern Icelanders as well. So this is the case. I think that Icelandic language will survive. If not in the Icelanders, then people like me will try to preserve it anyway. But I really want the Icelanders to be the ones to preserve it. It's their language. They need it more than I do. Even though I love the Icelandic language, let's be honest here. Who does the better job preserving Portuguese? Well, it's the Portuguese people, or even the Brazilians, um, or other peoples that speak Portuguese but are linked to it, not just because they speak a second language, but because they use it as mother tongue. Well, the Icelanders are the best people to do that with the Icelandic language, and I'm sure they're going to succeed. If they don't succeed, well, there will always be an option to study Icelandic and to revive it one day. So I'm not too worried about Icelandic because it's an amazing language with a lot of literature and there's constant writing in it. It's one of the most published languages. So I've per capita or something to that extent. I know that the Icelanders are going to succeed and preserve the Icelandic language. Now, auðvitað, ég elska Ísland. Um, um, þeir, þeir eru um, ótrúlegt. Þeir eru í bestur, bestur fólkið í heimi. Sjáumst. See you later, everyone. That's all for this video. I appreciate to everyone that watched it, and you can be sure that I'll do more videos about languages, about history, about biology, even if you don't like it. Do not worry. This is not really a provocation. Well, maybe it is a provocation, but don't worry. I'm sure eventually you'll appreciate biology. because even I that got extremely disappointed by biology at one point still love it. Still love many of its points, especially microbiology and genetics. Though not as a discipline, something that I can study by myself, not because of a grade. That's when genetics is awesome. See you later, everyone. And um, tack for it. Thanks a lot.